In the heart of medieval France, when the land lay broken under the boots of English soldiers and the crown itself was a prize fought over by lords and foreign kings, a miracle was said to rise not from a palace nor from a sword, but from a simple peasant girl. Her name was Jeanne d'Arc, though history calls her Joan of Arc, the Maid of Orleans, the Saint of Courage, and the Martyr of France. She claimed that God had spoken to her, that voices from heaven commanded her to save her country, crown her rightful king, and drive the English from French soil. In an age of knights, kings, and clerics, such words from a young woman, barely 17, were unthinkable, and yet she did exactly that. This is the tale of Joan of Arc, a story of divine fire, political treachery, and one girl's defiance that changed the course of a nation. Joan was born around 1412 in the tiny village of Domremy, in the Duchy of Bar, an unremarkable hamlet, nestled between the kingdoms of France and Burgundy. Her parents were humble farmers, Jacques d'Arc and Isabelle Remy, devout Catholics who raised their daughter to fear God and love France. France at this time was not the France we know. It was a nation bleeding from the 100 Years' War, torn between the French crown of Charles VII and the English-backed claims of Henry VI, whose armies had ravaged the countryside for decades. To young Joan, the war was not a distant story. It was a shadow that passed through her fields, the echo of hooves and the smoke of burning villages. Yet even as the world darkened, Joan was said to be different, pious, steadfast, and radiant in her faith. At 13, she began to hear what she called voices from heaven, divine messengers she identified as Saint Michael the Archangel, Saint Catherine of Alexandria, and Saint Margaret of Antioch. They told her she was chosen, that she, a poor girl, would save France and see her true king crowned at Reims, the sacred cathedral of coronations. For years, Joan kept the secret close, fearing ridicule or worse. But the voices persisted. They urged her to act, to find the Dauphin Charles, and to help him reclaim his birthright. By the winter of 1428, the call had grown unbearable. The English siege of Orleans, the last stronghold protecting central France, threatened to doom the kingdom once and for all. Joan went to the local garrison commander, Robert de Baudricourt, at Vaucouleurs, and demanded an audience. She told him plainly, "God commands that you send me to the Dauphin, for I must raise the siege of Orleans and crown him king at Reims." He laughed her out of the room, but she returned again and again with unshakable conviction. Her persistence and piety stirred whispers among soldiers and peasants alike. When her words of prophecy foretelling a French defeat near Orleans came true, Baudricourt relented. In February 1429, disguised in men's clothing for safety, Joan rode with a small escort through enemy territory to Chinon, where the Dauphin held court. The court at Chinon was a den of intrigue and doubt. The Dauphin Charles was timid, uncertain, and surrounded by nobles who bickered and schemed for power. When Joan arrived, she was subjected to a test. Charles disguised himself among his courtiers to see if she could recognize him. She did. Walking straight to him, she knelt and said, "Gentle Dauphin, my name is Jeanne the Maid. The King of Heaven sends me to you, that you may be anointed and crowned in Reims." It was said that her conviction pierced him like a blade. Yet before entrusting her with an army, the Church demanded proof that she was no heretic or witch. She was examined by theologians at Poitiers, questioned for weeks, and found to be pure of heart, orthodox in faith, and untouched by deceit. Finally, Charles agreed. In the spring of 1429, the teenage peasant girl was given armor, a white banner bearing the names Jesus Maria, and command of the army of France. When Joan entered Orleans in April 1429, the city had been under siege for months. Its people were starving, its defenders exhausted. The English ringed it with fortresses and earthworks. Her arrival electrified the troops. To them, she was not merely a commander, she was a symbol of divine favor, a living sign that God had not abandoned France. She led from the front, fearless and radiant. Chroniclers described her as a white figure riding through smoke and arrows, banner aloft, crying, "In God's name, forward." Within a week, the English were routed. On May 8, 1429, the siege was lifted. The miracle had come to pass. France rejoiced. The Maid of Orleans had done what seasoned generals could not. She had turned despair into victory. Joan's triumph did not end at Orleans. She pressed the Dauphin to march north and claim his crown. Many nobles hesitated. The way was dangerous. The English and Burgundians controlled the roads, but Joan was unyielding. "I will show you that the Lord is with us," she said. And so they marched. One city after another opened its gates: Troyes, Auxerre, Reims. On July 17, 1429, in the great cathedral of Reims, Charles knelt before the altar as holy oil touched his brow. Joan stood beside him, banner in hand, tears in her eyes. At last, the prophecy was fulfilled. The peasant girl from Domremy had crowned a king. The bells of Reims rang across the land, and France dared to hope again. But divine favor is a fragile thing in the world of men. After Reims, political divisions re-emerged. Charles VII, now crowned, grew wary of Joan's fame. His courtiers, jealous and fearful, whispered that she had outlived her purpose. In 1430, Joan led a campaign against the Burgundians at Compiègne, but during the fighting she was unhorsed and captured. The Burgundians sold her to the English for 10,000 livres. Charles VII made no effort to ransom her. Joan was taken to Rouen, seat of English power in Normandy, and placed in the hands of Pierre Cauchon, Bishop of Beauvais-Aumale, eager to please his English patrons. Her trial was a farce disguised as faith. Over months of interrogation, 40 theologians questioned her endlessly, trying to trap her into heresy. They accused her of witchcraft, blasphemy, cross-dressing, and defying the Church's authority. Joan, uneducated but sharp of mind, answered with stunning eloquence, "If I am not in God's grace, may He place me there. If I am, may He keep me there." The court could find no sin in her words, but they condemned her nonetheless. Politics demanded a scapegoat. On May 30th, 1431, at the age of 19, Joan of Arc was led to the old market square in Rouen. She asked for a cross. A sympathetic soldier fashioned one from a stick and gave it to her. As the flames rose, she cried, "Jesus, Jesus," and the wind carried her final prayer into history. The executioner later confessed that he feared he had burned a saint. 25 years later, under pressure from Joan's family and the now secure French crown, a new trial was held in 1456. She was declared innocent, her first trial voided as corrupt and unjust. The verdict came too late for Joan, but not too late for her legend. Centuries later, in 1920, Pope Benedict XV canonized her as Saint Joan of Arc. Joan's life lasted barely 19 years. Yet in that brief span, she changed the destiny of nations. She was not a queen, not a noble, not a scholar or warrior trained in arms. She was a farmer's daughter who believed that God spoke through her, and somehow, against all odds, she made France believe it too. Her courage restored a broken crown. Her faith defied the might of kings. Her death turned her from a heretic into a saint, from a girl into a legend. 5 centuries later, Napoleon, Voltaire, and even Mark Twain would write of her. Modern France would revere her as its eternal heroine, and the world would remember that once, in the dark heart of war, a single voice from heaven burned brighter than all the armies of men. The Maid of Orleans still rides across banners, across memory, across time itself. Her armor gleams in history's light. Her voice whispers through the ages. Go forward. God commands it.